So I'll start with sharing a very recent experience of mine. Um, I was giving this assessment center last week, and the recruiter happened to ask me, "What would you do if you didn't have the fear of failure?" I'll repeat myself. What would you do if you didn't have the fear of failure? And honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't even remember what did I say in that moment. But you know, how is it like? Like after you have given that assessment center, later in the evening you're making your bed and you just start imagining the kind of life you would have once you get that job. I was literally in the same zone, and it suddenly hit me again that what will I actually do if I didn't have that fear of failure? And then I just started recalling all my experiences at Warwick. Like when I started at Warwick, everything was intense. I studied BSc in Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And as the name suggests, the course is so practical that literally our modules required us to start like come up with a business idea, look for an investor, pitch it to the investor, get the investment, think of an exit strategy, and then literally write a 4,000 word essay on it. And my course mates were so amazing. Like, I remember in my year one of my course mates was literally building on his own Android and iOS application. A other friend of mine, she was building UX and UI, and she literally had like real clients. Like, imagine your friends in year one are getting real pay. And then it was me. I didn't have a business idea. I didn't even know what I want to do with my career. For starters, I didn't even know why did I choose that degree. Because clearly, spare me here, I didn't choose BSc in Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship over BSc Management just because the name sounded too cool and fancy, did I? Trust me, I did. But I'm glad that I chose that degree because everything that I've done till today, whoever I am, whatever I've achieved in past couple of months, is purely because of the course that I study at Warwick. Let me ask you a very basic question here. Just raise your hands. How many of you, at some point in your life, had a business idea that you really wanted to work on, but you didn't? Just raise your hands. Fair enough. You know, it's usually said that at any university, 1 out of 5 students always has an idea, probably a multi-billion dollar business idea that they really wanted to work on, but they didn't. Why? Because there was a fear of failure. There was a fear of judgment. What if I fail in this? Leave that. What will my friends think of me if I fail in this? What will I think of myself? And that constant self doubt is so much that we don't end up working on it. We always think that it's better that let's go look for a job, settle down in a corporate world for financial stability. But you know, I think we should change that perspective. In my year two, when COVID hit, from offline studies, we all went to online studies. And that time, I remember I was applying for placement applications. And I had 2 assessment centers lined up, which automatically went to virtual assessment centers then. And I was back in India, I was giving the assessment centers. Luckily, I cleared them. And this one night, I'm discussing it with my family that which offer to go with. Like, I had 2 offers with Intel and IBM. And I was discussing it with my aunt that which offer should I take? And suddenly she exclaims that, you know, I'm very happy, I'm very proud of you that you got these offers. And honestly, for like someone like us, we feel happy when our parents, when our family is proud of us. But genuinely, I didn't feel happy in that moment. I just told her that, you know, only I know the number of rejections I've been through. Only I know the number of hours I spent on those networking calls just to understand what recruiters want from us. How do we need to prepare for that particular interview? So rather than me being happy about the offers that I've gotten today, I'm actually glad that I went through that entire process. I learned something out of it. But at the same time, I regret that I wish I knew this in my year one. I wish I knew the importance of spring weeks because if I knew that, probably I wouldn't be struggling this time. And I'm just expressing all those feelings to her, and suddenly she goes like, "Why don't you create a mentorship platform for yourself?" And honestly, in that moment, that idea sounded very funny in my head because I was like, why will a student ever trust me over a career service department? And she just goes on explaining like how it will help everyone else, how you should actually start with it, who's your target audience, and like whatnot. And in my head, I was like, okay, I need to deviate from this topic. I want to deviate from this topic. This conversation was going on until like 1:30 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, okay, fine. you know what, I will definitely work on it, but what do you think, what name can we give to this? Because that would be like the creative side of it. So then we start brainstorming the names, and suddenly she's like, okay, because you're going to teach students about networking, you can take some inspiration from LinkedIn. But of course, we won't take the word LinkedIn because plagiarism. But okay, we are now thinking about the word linking and something, linking and helping, linking and working, linking and networking. And suddenly, too much of ing is there. Okay, let's just come with a shorter name, link and help, linking, work. Oh, how about the word link and grow? And suddenly, we just manifested something that night. Literally 2:30 in the morning, we came up with the word linking grow. And she just goes on that you should work on it. It's a really good potential out there. Like, you can genuinely help students with your experience. And that time I was like, okay, you know what? Let's just sleep now. We will think about this tomorrow, maybe day after tomorrow, whenever we have time for it. Before we slept, she said it again that I don't know if you took it seriously today, but I really want you to work for it. I was like, fair enough, let's sleep. Next morning, she never woke up. She had a silent heart attack, and I lost her. Literally, she has been like my second mom to me. She has been around me for almost 20 years. She was there for me every time. Like, she was my biggest source of motivation, and I lost her that day. But that was also the day I found something very meaningful to my career. Everyone has their own grieving period. I had mine. I called up Warwick. I told them that I want a gap year. I took a gap year. I stayed with my family, supported them, and then I started working on it. Because every time I was sitting there remembering her, the only last words I remember from her before she slept that day was, there's great potential in this. I want you to work for it. Even if you fail, work on it. And that was it. I started out with zero resources, zero network, zero mentorship, zero investment, and literally, I don't even remember how did I start that particular moment, but all I remember is that there was no one with me that time. All I had was a very small idea that I want to create a mentorship platform with a very big vision of genuinely helping students with their career. As it is said, great things aren't built in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day. Similarly, Lincoln Grow wasn't too. I can't even imagine the number of hours I've spent on those networking calls explaining students what Lincoln Grow is, how we can help them, what kind of benefit they can get from it. And just to end that entire call with, from the other end, okay, thank you, I will get back to you if I want to enroll in your course. Thanks, but they never getting back to me again. So that time, I just stopped working on it. I was like, I don't know if I can actually start with it someday. Then I reached out to my friends. I started mentoring 3 friends of mine that time. I will always remember their name: Urvashi, Navya, and Mehak. Those were literally the first 3 people who trusted me with their applications. And I'm so grateful that within 2 to 3 months of mentoring, they actually ended up getting really good offers from Samsung, Reckitt, and eventually Deloitte. And that was it. That instilled the confidence in Linking Group for me. I knew I was out there on that path, doing something, making it work for other people. And then I started with my marketing. I printed out flyers, went around the campus, spoke to students, took their email IDs, told them what Linking Group was, and created an Instagram page, started putting content out there. And eventually, I don't know what happened. Why was I so confident in my marketing that I took another big leap of faith, and I was like, okay, let me conduct my first workshop at Warwick. In September 2021, I was so confident that people will actually come to this workshop that I ended up booking Oculus Lecture Theatre ground floor, thinking that it has a capacity of 100 students, at least 60 to 70 students will definitely show up. How many students showed up that day? Literally 7, you can literally head count it here. I was so disheartened. I was literally crying inside when I was delivering that presentation. I didn't know what went wrong, what was happening, but that was also the time when application season was at peak. It was September, people were applying, and that time I remember I was mentoring 10 students, and everyone were getting rejected, of course, aptitude tests, high views, job simulations, assessments, and everyone at some other stage were getting rejected. This one student of mine came up to me, and he was like, Purvi, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I started applying in August. Literally, I have applied to more than 50 companies. I've given so many job simulations. I have literally applied the day it opened, the application opened. But it didn't lead me anywhere. My friend applied 3 weeks ago. He only applied to 5 companies and he got an offer today. Like, how is that even possible? Like, I don't know what am I doing wrong in this entire process. How are they getting offers and I'm not when I'm working harder, when my profile is way better than theirs? And trust me, every single student in this room, at some point, you all have felt the same way. That I am working hard, it is not leading me anywhere. My friend didn't work hard enough, and they got the best offer today. And I will tell you the same thing that I told him that day, that it's okay. People get lucky. Probably someday, somewhere they must be struggling in some other way that the career got sorted for them. But that doesn't mean that you are unlucky. Your hard work can change that luck. Your consistency can change that. All you need to be is consistent and work hard for it. It's fine, things worked out for them, but that doesn't mean that it won't work out for you. Eventually, you will get what you deserve. You just need to work hard for it and remain consistent throughout. And fortunately, he did start working again. He did end up at PwC. We were very happy. And that is the same thing that even I believe in all the time. That whenever I'm implementing some strategy, if I'm failing in it, it's completely fine. We learn from it, we embrace it, we pivot. And that is something that he has done all. He has also followed throughout. As I mentioned, I started with 3 students at Link and Grow. And today I'm so glad, so fortunate, so grateful to say that I'm mentoring more than 250 students at Warwick. And that is because of the consistency that I've had in past couple of months. Today I'm going to share my 3 biggest learnings at Link and Grow that will actually help you get started somewhere. Number 1, think big, start small, grow slow, but grow really fast. What do I mean by this is that always have a very big vision. Why you are doing what you are doing right now. Because money should never be a motivation. Like, money will never make you work hard on dark days. It's literally your why behind it. I have never been motivated by money to work at Link and Grow. It's literally the calls that I get when, on the other end, Purvi, I got an offer from JP Morgan. Purvi, I got an offer from PwC. Those are the calls that I work for. Because somewhere I know that in that community, someone is getting their career sorted. So you need to figure out that the product that you're building on, what is the why behind it? What's the bigger reason? What's the bigger why which is making you work hard for it? Once you understand your why, then you start working on it. But now you need to remember that you need to start slowly. You need to start small. Take one step at a time, implement one strategy, fail in it. It's completely fine. No one is here to judge you for that. Fail in it, learn from it, pivot. But never dwell on it. Never dwell on negative feedbacks. Never dwell on rejections. Because people will try to bring you down. People will tell random things about your startup, about your business product, or anything. But always rise above them. Once you have started with your product, once it is there in the market, people are talking about it, people are loving it, you need to now grow really fast in it. Because now the competition will come in and take that market share from you. I remember last year during summer, my marketing team came up to me and they were like, Purvi, we need to do something. There's someone at Warwick who is like starting something very similar like yours. And I was like, okay, you know what? Calm down firstly. Who is this person? What are they doing? What is their pricing strategy? Let's see. And then they told me all of that. And the first thought that came in my mind was, I'm glad that someone else is also doing what I'm doing right now, because people are getting aware that you need to genuinely help other people. Because we all are international students, we all are paying that big amount, and we need a career out of it. And the second thing I realized was that, okay, now people have started getting aware that they can have a similar service out there, which means we need to expand, we need to grow really fast in it. And what we did, we started collaborating. We collaborated with Warwick societies, then I started collaborating with LSE, UCL, Imperial, and in past couple of months, I have literally given so many talks at those universities as well. So once you understand your why, you are growing, you are starting small. Once your product is out there in the market, people are talking about it, grow really fast. Stay as competitive as you can. Never compare it with your competition. Like, understand who your competition is, but never focus on them. Focus on your strategy, how you can make your product or service better. Number 2, network. I cannot stress enough on the importance of networking. University is a great platform for you to meet new people, learn about their journey, understand what they did at university, how are they working in their professional life today. Take inspiration and start on your own path. I have personally met my greatest mentors for Linking Grow at Warwick, and it's one of the best things from Warwick that I have gotten today. So yes, push yourself outside of your comfort zone, go to those networking events, talk to recruiters, talk to people who are there, who have their own startup or like they have founded something really great, and just learn from their journey and start implementing in yours. And number 3, always question yourself. Am I dreaming big enough? Never self-doubt yourself, never self-question yourself that I can't do this, so I won't do this. I remember last year when I went back to India, I was talking to my dad about like the entire growth, and I was telling him that yeah, this year we have helped so many students with getting into FMCG industries or like the IT industry or the consulting industry, and suddenly he goes like, I don't see a bank here. Like, didn't you help any student get into a bank? And I was like, Dad, I don't have a finance background. I don't like numbers. I don't know how to help a student with a technical interview. Like, I don't think I can ever I can help a student crack into a bank. And he was like, if you actually are determined, if you're passionate about something, that skill can be developed. But I knew that, I can't develop my finance skills or anything there. But then I actually reflected on it. And I thought that, okay, if I don't have that skill, how can I improve on it? And then I started reaching out to all my friends who works at JP Morgan, Barclays, HSBC, Goldman Sachs. I have spent like hours and hours on those calls to understand what different roles are available at those banks, what is an easier role to get into, what kind of cover letter is like Goldman Sachs expecting today, how different companies work, how a person can crack that particular technical round. I understood everything. And then I started helping students with that. And eventually, again, I'm very grateful for that, that this year, so many people gave their final assessment centers with Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, people landed jobs with JP Morgan, Barclays, HSBC. And I'm very grateful that every time my dad has pushed me to think outside of the box and actually think that, okay, you're limiting yourself here, but actually if you think big enough, you can get it done. Remember, as I mentioned like previously, that when I started with my first workshop in September 2021, only 7 students came. Last year in September 2021 or 22, I took another leap of faith and I was like, okay, let me conduct one more workshop this year. And more than 50 students attended that. Literally, that was it. Like, that motivated me that, okay, I am on the right path. If I can dream big enough for it, I can get it. And honestly, we all agree with this. Like, for a Warwick event, it's a really good turnout here to have 50 students. So that was a plus thing for me. So yes, keep dreaming big. Implement new strategies, fail in it, learn from it, pivot from it, but never dwell on it. I have personally cried a lot of times. Like, I've cried like hundreds of times whenever there was a rejection or like a failure in a particular strategy. Like, whenever a student who has attended an assessment center, he got rejected. And when he was on that call that Purvi, I got rejected from an assessment center and that I didn't get that offer. Somewhere I have also cried on the other end of the phone. Dedicating this entire speech here today to every single person out there who thinks that they can't make it. Trust me, right now you're working hard. You don't think that you're alone in this because everyone else are in the same boat as you are. Everyone is struggling, but everyone will get there. I'm here for everyone, and if anyone needs help, most welcome. Eventually, you all will get what you deserve. Trust the process, remain consistent, keep dreaming big. I don't even remember how this screenshot came up. Like last week, I was going through all my notes, and suddenly I found this screenshot in my, suddenly I found this entire note in my notes app. In 2021, I don't even remember why I was awake at 3 a.m. in the morning, but I wrote this to myself. TEDx speaker, question mark. And it sounded too funny in the moment that I literally ended the entire sentence with HA, ha, ha. But you see me here today, right? So what is the outcome out of like, just keep dreaming big, work hard for it, remain consistent, and you will definitely get there. Just to end the entire thing with, now that if I reflect on my entire journey in past 2 years at Warwick, and now if someone asks me, Purvi, what would you do if you didn't have the fear of failure? My answer would probably be that if I didn't have the fear of failure, I will go full time into linking row and not sit at that in front of that laptop asking that interviewer that please hire me for a job. Thank you so much, everyone. It was great speaking to you all today.